This episode is brought to you by LifeLock. Between two-factor authentication, strong passwords, and a VPN, you try to be in control of how your info is protected. But many other places also have it, and they might not be as careful. That's why LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points a second for threats. If your identity is stolen, they'll fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Save up to 40% your first year. Visit lifelock.com/podcast for 40% off. Terms apply.
Choice Hotels get you more for your money so you can maximize any road trip. And as your vacation maximizationer, I'm going to make sure you hear the maximum sizzle of Comfort Inn's free hot breakfast. Let's get real close. Maximum apple. Now that's fresh crispimization. Maximum waffle. Hear that crunch. And that's maximum coffee. Oh yeah, that's the pour I'm talking about. Breakfast maximized before hitting the road. Check into more. Book direct at choicehotels.com.
War Eagle, and welcome to another edition of Ever to Podcast, our somewhat regular get-together with you in audio format here at E2C Network, where we share the Auburn experience. That experience to us is all about a few things: Auburn sports, Auburn culture, and Auburn family stuff. An easier way to wrap it all together is if it's orange and blue, it's what we do. So thank you so much for joining us in what we're going to be doing today on Ever to Podcast, episode 27. I'm your host, as always, Kyle Loomis. Today's date is June 20th, 2025. Happy first official day of summer, apparently, as I saw on social media today. Although we have been celebrating the Auburn summer for a while now, today is the first official date, according to some calendar out there, that summer has begun. And it certainly feels like it if you've been outside today on this Friday afternoon, depending on where you are. We still want to hear from you guys out there who are taking trips for the Auburn summer. Hit us up on social media or an email, and make sure you share pictures, photos, videos, and even just descriptions of what you've been getting into. We'd love to share them here on Ever to Podcast. All right, so what we got on this show for you is some smaller stuff today, because we're kind of wrapping up the week here. Might do a little bit of a recap towards the end if we need to, but we're going to talk about Damian Craig. We're going to talk about War Ready again. I know, I just talked about them yesterday. And then we're going to take a conversation from our TikTok live stream that we did that I thought was a great conversation, and maybe we'll answer some questions for a lot of you that are interested in the future of Auburn sports facilities. Maybe we can work through that if we can squeeze all that together. Let's get into it. Damian Craig, why am I bringing up the 1990s Auburn quarterback great? Well, first of all, because he's a great Auburn guy, a great Auburn alumni, former football player. He has been a coach here at Auburn, and he's a great recruiter and is very well known in the college football space. But why are we bringing him up here today? Well, old Damian Craig decided that he wanted to get involved in Auburn conversations again on his personal Twitter X account, which was kind of weird because he hasn't been at Auburn for a while. His location still says College Station, Texas. I don't know if he's still coaching anywhere right now. But it's just odd that the guy who hasn't been coaching for Auburn for a while just started posting some things. He shared something from Barstool about in 1995, Auburn considered changing their iconic logo and came up with these potential replacements. Well, after he shared that, he also shared, and this is actually a couple of days removed now, but I wanted to talk about this today, the image of all of those choices that Auburn was considering changing their logo to. Now, first of all, I know many of you, like me, when you hear the word change and associated with any of Auburn's aesthetics or looks, especially like uniforms, but especially their logo, you just bristle at that. You will definitely bristle if you have not looked at this list. This is something that's been circling the interwebs, the internet and social media for a while now, so you may have seen this pop up every once in a while. But if you can go to X, and maybe you search it up anywhere else too, but X, to Damian Craig's actual profile, Damian Craig 16. He shared this a day and a half ago, something like that. And you'll see this full list. So he shared that headline from the article that apparently Barstool or something put out, or just a post, and then shared that full list. I guess he found it, and it shows you every single option on here that apparently Auburn was considering changing their logo to in 1995. Now, you remember there was a second attempt to change the logo back when Stephen Leith was here as president, and that went over like a lead balloon. Thankfully, and it was only a minor change too, but it certainly did change the look of everything. But if you thought that was bad, go look at some of these things. Now, hear me out. Graphic designers, people who spend their time hard work on this, sometimes you just throw something out there to see if it works and you give them a list of things. There is hardly one option on here on this list that I'm seeing that works. Can we all agree that Auburn's color scheme is perfect? Can we all agree that Auburn's logo, the traditional interlocking AU, is, I guess it's technically not interlocking, it's more of the U set behind the A, but either way, it is perfect. Absolutely perfect. It is classic, yet it is not old in the same way because it is so simple with such a great color scheme together. It does not need to be changed. Let me say that again. It does not need to be changed. See, this is what Damian Craig didn't think he was going to start up all this on podcasts and things, but here we are. Go check this thing out. I'm trying to do a quick scan of this thing. The best case scenario is that they were just trying to, for the official logo, put the word Auburn underneath the traditional logo. That was it. There's maybe like 2 on here. I'm not even going to say 2. I'm going to say 1 that I see that I would have been. If we want to use that as an alternate logo, I can probably make peace with it, but some of these are just absolutely horrendous. Again, I know people put a lot of time and effort in these things sometimes, but it's just bad. Go take a look at it on Damian Craig 16. That's his X account. All right, let's move on. Let's talk about War Ready again. I know we talked about them yesterday, but that's just what I get for assuming that all the news was done. I even reported to you that I thought with 11 players they would be done. But looks like some roster shifts have made. So let me back up just a second. Again, if you don't know what War Ready is, because some people, even our social media, when we shared this, didn't know this, it is a summer basketball tournament that is comprised of a lot of teams that tend to be college alumni based. So former players tend to get together sometimes, and is the case for this team, mixed with other players just to fill out a full team and play in this tournament to win money. It's a 64-team tournament, and just like March Madness style kind of thing. So Auburn's one is called War Ready. We can go into the history of it another time, but they have been assembling their roster throughout the year and into the summer now, and it looks maybe now like we're getting a little bit closer to being done because we talked about yesterday, New Williams had been added to the roster. Unfortunately, I think now he is no longer going to be able to be on it because I didn't find him on an official list or anything. But here's the big news today. Everybody get ready to go psycho again. KD Johnson. Yes, our little psycho is back in something Auburn related. You know, he left for his senior year, had a great year with George Mason, and we celebrated him a lot. But he is back in some form of Auburn affiliation, playing with War Ready, playing with some of his former teammates and people he didn't get a chance to play with. It is going to be awesome having KD back in some form of the Auburn experience, especially with War Ready this summer. So that was the big announcement today. They are trying to get some financials figured out with that, and it's very much done off of donors. If you go and look at War Ready on their social medias, they'll be putting a link out for their GoFundMe. A lot of this is them taking the time to do this. So if you like that and can support them, please do that to help KD Johnson get there, because there are some last-minute expenses to get him there that they're having to cover. If you need a refresher, as of this moment, this is what I'm aware of, the Auburn guys. There's about 4 Auburn guys on there, 1 from Tulsa, 2 from Florida State, and 1 from basically St. John's. He's a transfer person. Wendell Green, KD Johnson, Chris Moore, Yaheem Hudson, Leor Berman, Malik Dunbar, and Antoine Mason. What a crowd. And LaRon Smith is part of the either coaching staff or the leadership team there as well. I don't know if he's going to play. I don't think he tends to these days, but he's at least an option out there as well. So there's your next War Ready update. Maybe we're getting close to being finally complete for that, with it only a few weeks away. And lastly, I want to bring a conversation that we have on our TikTok streams. If you don't know, we are on TikTok, and we do pretty much every workday, midday, we do a stream over there, just kind of taking some questions and comments. It tends to get a little bit rowdy and snippy over there from time to time, but if you like that kind of stuff, maybe that's the place for you. But we get some good questions and conversations from our audience over there, and it was proposed to me, and I think this was, I'm going to say it was Greg, and I know that doesn't mean anything to y'all, but if he ever listens, which I asked him yesterday if he does, he's getting a shout out today. I think it was Greg that asked this question. If you're the AD, where would you invest the money, or who do you think you need to invest the money in terms of a sports program for facilities, things like that. And we walked through it a little bit, and while you can see that the investments are being made actively in football right now, especially with the video board, the facilities that are going in the backside of it that are continuing to be phases towards future expansions that maybe aren't ready to be announced yet or anything like that. The football stuff is there. The baseball stuff seems to be, we're almost done. I think there's a few things that have to be wrapped up, but they're going to be good for a while. You can look at basketball, and they've kind of nixed doing anything big, but they are renovating that there. So that's going to cover men's and women's basketball. Volleyball is getting some investments for their thing. Gymnastics, I don't think really needs anything right now. Tennis and golf, and equestrian, they all seem to be good. So there's a couple out there that maybe I think could have an argument. I wonder if down the line it's not time to consider a new space for Auburn softball. I've been told some of the layout there is a little bit difficult to deal with, but that's not necessarily the most immediate thing. I honestly think the investment needs to be made in the track and field facility. If you've gone and looked at it recently, I'm not trying to be critical, but and I know there's no reason to keep it completely pristine looking because they use it once a year at this point. But I've been told there's a reason for that because it's not in that great of condition. Rutzel Kyle, y'all just heard me mess that one up. Hutzel Rosen Track Complex is needing a little bit of TLC, and I would argue that it's time to turn that indoor facility that's not being used anymore because football has their own into an indoor track and field facility if it needs to be expanded or whatever, so we can host indoor track meets too. It's high time that Auburn Track got back to hosting 2 track meets in the outdoors like it used to, and at least one indoor track facility, but you got to have that space to practice and things like that. So, and to host a meet. So that's my pitch. That was a cool conversation that was brought up on TikTok. So if you're interested in things like that, you can join us there. Those are the things that we want to bring to this particular space to catch you up on news, catch you up on topics, and just keep the conversation going about the Auburn experience. That's going to cover us for the week. I don't anticipate us having any need to do one over the weekend. Of course, you never know. I did one when I was on vacation last week because things were just popping off. But with that being said, always connect with us on social media if you'd like to drop a comment or question to be covered here on the show on Ever to Podcast. E2, you can do that at any E2C Network social media. Direct message is probably going to be preferred. And then our email is e2cnetwork@gmail.com. Once again, we appreciate you all that seem to be enjoying this series. If you can, please drop a review on your podcast app that you're listening to. That is a huge help, and leave a little bit of blurb about what you like or don't like, I guess, about it too. And lastly, we'd love to see you this Sunday evening for the Auburn Experience podcast live recording, 9 Eastern time on YouTube. It's the main flagship show of everything we do here at E2C Network, the Auburn Experience. Thank you for joining us for episode, 27 of Ever to Podcast? Flying by here, folks. Thanks for being here today, this week, until we talk to you again. War Eagle.